Lesson 2. In this lesson we're going to take a look at the interface and see how we can alter it, and also how we can use the different tabs or menus efficiently. We're going to start off by just taking a look at what you get when you load Creo. Basically, you've got the typical new and open commands. You've got a select working directory, which we're going to do. Erase not display. Now this would happen when, or be needed when you're working on a variety of projects and you close them, but you don't take them out of memory. You might want to remove them from memory after they've been there for a while and you're not going to go back to that model. Make sure that you have something in memory, though. You bring it forward, open it up so that you can save it, because if you have it in memory but it's not displayed and then you erase it without saving it, then it's not in the database and you cannot retrieve it. You have model display. If I click on this here, you're going to see that we have a variety of options that we can set for the model itself. Remove hidden lines, show silhouette edges. I think we'll have you check that one. We're going to improve the quality of the shading itself to 50. Now don't do this if you have a lot of parts. It'll slow down the system. Shade very small areas. This is very good to have checked if you're going to have a casting. And let's take a look at some of the other things. You have trimetric here. We're going to start off in trimetric when we're sketching most of the time. But in this particular case, we're going to actually open up an existing model, which is going to be for just viewing and investigating. So we're not going to sketch from the very beginning and create a feature. So here, let's go over to our isometric. Click on OK. We're not going to save it. If you save it, it's going to, you can use it again, you can give it a unique name. But for right now, we're just going to do this for the session we're in now. So no. Next one here is system colors. And in the system colors, we have different types of backgrounds that we can put on it. Right now, we've got kind of a almost white background. We're going to leave that there. And you can investigate this. If you don't like the way something looks on the screen, you can come in here and you can make changes. I suggest just minor changes in the color, not major. And one of the things you might want to look at here is just what colors are being used. For instance, highlight edge here. Do you really want to use red for your model? No. So geometry, black. There's colors in here, if you take a look at, these are the colors of the system, and you want to avoid those for the model itself in many cases so that you can actually see what's going on. For instance, if you have this bluish cyan color, it's going to on the model, and then you need a secondary selected item to display. What'll happen is that it'll be a little bit difficult to see. If you can click on any of these, and you can see you can change the colors of them. Okay, I didn't make any changes. Now in the ribbon up here, we'll see that we have our settings and we have some groupings. We're in the overflow area. So whenever you're working with any of the ribbons in any of the modes in Creo, take a look and see what the drop down will give you in the groupings. Under the file, we only have a few things. Oh, we don't have send or a few things that are available yet because nothing's active on the screen. So we'll wait to go back to this. I do want to show you though that if you click on options, file options, you will get the same type of menus we just looked at. For instance, system colors, model display. Edge display was not in this group up here. So why don't we go to that, and we will make the edge display very high and dimmed for the tangencies. If you want some thick lines on the outside of your model, then choose show smooth lines. I'll let that be an option for you. We have tags to show whether or not the top, front, and right datum tags are displayed in the beginning. We can turn these off, or we can turn them on after we start. Tolerances, we'll leave them like they are here, off. Selection, there's nothing on the screen, so you're not going to get any options in here yet. So in the sketcher, the main thing to be aware here is that number of decimal places, and I think we'll go to 3. And we have the grids, and we'll leave the grid alone. The other one to take a look at is make the sketching plane parallel to the screen. So when you select the sketching plane itself, it'll automatically position itself so it's parallel to the screen rather than remaining rotated. And for our purposes, let's just leave that off. Assembly, don't worry about that right now. Sheet metal, customize ribbon. If you want to customize a ribbon in here, you can actually take any commands and move them into the tabs over here, and even create your own tabs, and we'll cover that at another time. Mainly want to look at here where it says all commands. These are all the commands that are associated with this mode, and you can take them and move them over here and it'll display for you. Also, if you want to look what happens when you enter this mode here, it gives you these little numbers and the drop downs. If you click in here, you can actually take one of these and drag it up into the upper portion so that you have more than just one command up in this ribbon. And we'll leave that alone right now. So click OK, no, and we're ready to start. So basically, we talked about the ribbon up on the top. On the very top here, we have, above the ribbon, we have the quick access. And if you right mouse button click there, you can see that you can customize it. So the quick access, you can actually take commands, put them over here, and they're going to display up on the very top here. Now only put things that you're going to use a lot. Obviously, you're not going to want to have this cluttered up, though some people have a lot of them showing at one time. And I think we'll leave ours alone right now, but maybe later we'll go back to that. You have the navigation area here, and right now you're just showing the folders. Down on the very bottom, you have a toggle on and off the folder and the common folder tree, and this will be the model tree later. And you also have the browser. This is the PTC browser. Yours will come up looking like so. So we want to have the browser active. If yours was active already, that's okay. We're going to go to our PTC product catalog, and it looks like I've already actually gone to this. So I'm going to back up so that we see it from the very beginning. And basically, we are going to open up an existing part. This is a library parts, and it says 3D model space. We want to go up here to where it says Pro Library, and then click on Catalog. And at the very bottom, you've got to accept the terms and conditions. Now take a look at the choices that we have. You can actually show all categories, and in the book here, it'll follow you, bring you right through each step with this one here. So we're going to activate or open one of these parts. We're just going to take a simple T-nut, standard T-nut, and we'll pick the product number, and then we have to select the download type format. And here we're going to go to Pro Engineer 2.0 or later. So Pro Engineer 2, 3, 4, 5, and Creo will allow these models to be opened. You can experiment with the 3D viewer, but depending on how it's installed on your system, you might have difficulty. So we're going to avoid that one. So we're going to download the model. Click, and then it'll open up in your WinZip program. Now you may have only the Microsoft version of Zip, and if that's true, you'll have to extract this before you work on it. Here you can just pick it up and drop it off into your graphics area. So then I'll double click on the 4, and here's my part. Now what I want to do is I want to go back to the standard orientation. So this here is my menu. I'll go back up here and we'll show you. So we have screen tips, we have a ribbon, tabs, navigation, quick access, and we have a graphics toolbar. So we have the quick access up on the top here, and then we have the graphics toolbar here. And if you right mouse button on the graphics toolbar, you see you can actually select some more items to display. You can also change the location of that. If this is on the top, and maybe we'll keep it there, but I actually like to put it in the status bar on the very bottom so it's out of the way when I'm recording. We'll put it back on the top so it's expanded out a little bit. So we're going to go into the standard orientation. Now this part was made a long time ago, and it doesn't have views. The only thing it has is the standard orientation. So this was created before views were available on the Pro E products. If we go up in the upper right hand corner, we'll go to the command search, and anytime you're looking for a command, you can actually type it in up here, for instance group, and then when you highlight it here, it'll actually go to the ribbon and open up that tab and the command. Now here that we didn't pick on anything, so nothing's available to be grouped at this particular time. I'll close that. So what it did is it actually opened up a tab. In this case the model tab was active, but it opened up one of the tabs, and then it opened up a particular option, in this case group, that was right here. So anytime you're looking for a command, you can type it up in the command search. I'm going to scroll down here, make sure I didn't miss anything. Now the model tree area over here, the navigation area, the model tree is now displayed. So one of the things it's nice to do is to see what's displayed over here. These are things that were built into this model. And we want to go into our model tree filters to see more than what is displayed there, because if we suppress a feature, it will not display in the model tree. So for instance, if I come over here and I select on the whole and right mouse button suppress, it's going to suppress everything that's highlighted. But you cannot tell that it's part of the original model. So if we have the tree filters, the placement filter, it's mainly the suppressed objects one is that you want on during the part creation. And in the assembly you're going to want the placement folder and a few other things, maybe the features. Click OK. And you'll see now that these two features, parent-child relationship here, are suppressed, and there's a little black box out in front of them. So I'm going to resume, and you'll see that the little black identifier for suppression is gone. So the model tree can also be changed by going into the tree columns, and right now you only have one column showing. You can actually click on any of the weaves that you want and put them in the column. I don't know if we need too many of them. And there's other choices in here also. You can take a look at that. We'll use these later. Layers, everything is in here. And we apply. You can change the width of the columns also down here. Click OK, and drag open the panel a little bit bigger. So you'll see we have the type and the ID and feature number all displayed. And you can drag the columns and make them smaller if you want. I think we'll leave that open. All right. Now we have our tabs across the top. Let's take a look at them. Now when we go to the File tab, we can save as. Save means that you're just saving it like in any other program. Same name, same place. Save as, you're actually saving a copy of it with a new name, or saving it with the same name in a different directory. We've got mirror part and some other things that we've got available here also. Printer, our typical printing. We can close the window that we're working in. Now if I do that, people say, oh, the part's gone. Well, it's still in session. So first of all, I can go up here and I can open it, click on in session, and there's my part. So even though I didn't save it. Now, one of the things I didn't do in the very beginning, I really should have, is I should have, before we opened up the part, I should have had you go into your working directory. So when you're preparing, let's take a look at all the object things that you have. You have manage session and select working directory. Now that's normally in the first ribbon, so you could have done that before you started, which is a normal procedure. But for our purposes, I'll show you. I'm going to go to my system here, and I've divided everything up into lessons. And this is where I would want this to be saved if I was going to save it. And if I click open, it should show the T-nuts already in there because I had it renamed and put in there before. If I was to save this, it wants a new name. It's because it's coming out of the Pro library. So I would, in this case, go save as, and I'm just going to go T-nut and my initials. Okay. This is not regenerated. We want to regenerate it. Let's regenerate over here. When we suppressed it, it wanted a regeneration afterwards when we resumed. All right, so when you put your cursor over the top of the model, you'll see that things highlight. And let's look at the datum planes and everything first. One thing that's not shown, here we say we can click on our axis display and everything. These are all displayed. But we also put in the menu here, the graphics toolbar, other items. If you go to the View tab, you'll see that those items are also over here. So if you turn them all off, datum planes disappear. Turn them all on. And then the spin center. Spin center, if I turn it off, wherever I click and hold down my middle mouse button, that's where it's going to spin or zoom from. So my middle mouse button, I hold it down, or I zoom. Always going to zoom from that position where my pointer is. With the spin center activated, when I rotate, it's going to rotate and spin from that particular center point of the model. This is fine for small models. When you have a large model, you want to turn that off. Otherwise, it's difficult to manipulate the model. I click in my views here, standard view, standard orientation, and go back to that. So let's see what else we've got here. I want to make sure I cover all the elements, add a few, but in general cover as many as I can from the book so that you can follow along in the book, which is very important to do. But with the lecture, I want to add a few things once in a while. One of the things is in our locator up here, let's see if we can type in history. See if that's a command. And we have clear history. And we have file history. Well, so let's go. You notice I only typed a few letters. So let's pick file history. And the reason I did that is I wanted to show you, I mentioned before that it was created in Pro Engineer. So this was created in 1994. So that was Pro Engineer 13 when it was created. And then it has the people's names who worked on it. You can close the browser here or click in the lower left-hand corner of your screen. So we can see it's a very old model, and that's why we don't have many views that have been predetermined on it. Let's take a look at the menu, the options that are here. We have Zoom All. We have Zoom. We have Repaint and Zoom Out. How about the style? First of all, let's Zoom All or Refit. That's really Refit. And let's go into display style. And you'll get this reflection. Try shading with edges. This is a nice one to work with, and you can take a look at all the different options. Wireframe, very few people would work in that. Hidden line is very important. No hidden line once in a while is a good thing to be able to get to. And we have regular shading, and we also have shading with edges. Makes it a little bit better defined along the edges there. Now, if you go into your views here, one of the options is reorient. And this is a very old style dialog that comes up. It says the front. This is active. So what if I want this to face the front, and the top I want this to face? Okay, so there's a view. I actually could have saved that view. Maybe that would be a good thing to do. So let's call this front. Let's see. It doesn't want to take it for some reason. Huh. It's kind of interesting. It's not allowing me to save a view, which I thought it would. Should have. We can try that again and see what happened here. So I'm going to go back into my standard reorient. Oops, let's not do that. Let's go back into our standard orientation. Let's click on default view and rotate the view about underneath, so we're looking at the bottom. Maybe we're going to work on the bottom quite often and we want to be able to go back to it. Let's see, set. That's interesting. It's not allowing me to save it. Not sure why that's happening. And I've noticed a couple of times when this has happened, I've had to actually reboot Creo. In other words, save my part, shut it down, and bring it back up, and then it works fine. There's a couple commands that has happened with. I suspect it's some sort of a bug, or it could be how my system is set up. All right. Well, one of the things to take a look at, you'll notice that the view that's coming up, this is isometric. And if we go into our file options, model display, we changed from isometric to trimetric. Trimetric to isometric. We're going to change it back. This is the default. And so this is what normally you're going to see. It's not as realistic looking, the trimetric. So let's go back to it. No. The reason why you want to start off in trimetric is because I'm going to go and I'm going to open up or start a new part. And you can see what the datum planes look like. So there looks a little odd. Looks like a star. You'd have to rotate it to work very easily with it. So I'm going to do it one more time, and then you'll see the difference. So model display, the standard default is trimetric. So when I start a new part now, it's much easier to select my datum planes. And by the way, in a new part, all of these views are given to you already. And while I'm here, I'm a little confounded about why this is working like it is. And this one works fine. So I just typed in a new name, and if I saved, click OK, now you'll see that I have my default, and I have my GGG, and any of the other ones. So what I think happens here is that maybe this, I'm going to close this model, and I can go View, Close, I can go File, Close, or I can close from my Quick Access. So I think maybe what's wrong here is the fact that it was a standard model from Pro Library. That could be what's wrong, and the fact that it was created so long ago, it's not giving my reorient. Now let's try it one more time. It's kind of bothering me. So let's pick this. That's going to be the top, or front rather, and this will be the top. All right. Nope, it won't take it. Interesting. But it's good that we got to see the other one. And again, let's go back in and make sure that we have our model display. This is kind of annoying, actually. It seems like it should be much easier to do than go all the way into the menu. So we're in our isometric again. Now, one of the things we're talking about is preparing your model. We're on the Tools tab, if you're still there, and we've got a thing called a model player, and we can roll back the model to the very beginning, and we can see how it was created one step at a time. There's my first feature, show dimensions, second feature, third feature, see that right here, kind of an odd sequence of choices, but it was created a long time ago. So we can step through the model as it was created. Now, let's see what else we've got in the tools one. A lot of this stuff we'll use later, a few things. Let's try the feature, and then click on a feature, and it'll come back and it'll tell you what that feature is. In this case, it's a chamfer. Under model, it'll give you all the information, in other words, every feature that was created in the model. Feature list looks very much like the model list. And we'll leave the other ones alone. Let's go over to our View tab. And the View tab, we'll see that we have our named views. We have our standard orientation. How about previous? Do we have a previous? How about if we go here, standard orientation and previous? It's nice to have previous available. Go back to our standard orientation. And again, here we have our refit, our zoom, pan. Okay. Normally these commands, though, they're kind of old. Basically, you've got your 3-button mouse with a roller ball on it. So if you roll, it'll zoom. If you hold down the middle mouse button and move your cursor, you can get rotate. And if you hold down your shift key and your middle mouse button, you get pan. And you hold down your control key with your middle mouse button and you get zoom. And you also can rotate it. If you go horizontally, you go vertically, it's zoom. So without holding down either the shift or the control, most of the things you need will be done with your mouse buttons. If you want to reposition something, you can just put your cursor and zoom in on that area. Works just like pan. So we'll go back to our standard orientation. Now in this case, let's just go Control D, which is our shortcut key. Okay, next is our appearance gallery. Let's click here, and we can see that we have a variety of colors that have been provided for us. Some are a little odd. Let's pick on this one right here. Turns into a paintbrush. Select your part, middle mouse button. I wouldn't think this would be a very good one to use. So let's go over here and select a different one. Some of these are a little odd again. Like I said, let's stick to maybe one from the library down here, and let's pick on this one here. Double click, come over and select your part, and there's your feature color or your model color. If you want to do just a feature, let's select another color, and on the model, let's go pick something. In this case, the hole. And you see you can change a surface color. So one's a surface color, one of them is model color. If you want to alter these colors, you can go into your appearance gallery, put your cursor over the top of it, right mouse button, and edit. And it'll give you your appearance editor. And you can make it a little bit transparent if you wish. And you'll see you have two colors up here. Let's go to the model color. Let's make it transparent. I don't really want to make the other one transparent, so I'm going to go back to that. So I can make the model a little bit transparent. And if I don't like the color, I can click on the color swatch here, expand these out, and decide which color I want to use. I would stick to very light pastel type colors. Stay away from the bright dark colors. Stay away from red. Stay away from brown because that's the color of the datum planes, or the green underneath. There's a lot of things you want to stay away from. Click OK. How about changing this one? And I'm going to close. So there's my model colors. There's a lot of other things that we can talk about later here. We have our appearances. You click on more appearances. You can create colors. Edit model appearance. That's the same thing as right mouse button. Appearance manager. This one, after you've created some and moved them, copy to my appearances, right mouse button. So now here it is in my appearances. And you can actually file or open or save as to existing color files. Your company normally will have one. They don't want everybody with their own color system, obviously. So let's go back up here. And you'll see, I'm going to change this to red. Oof. And then I'll go back to the one that I had before. So I put it up here. So I moved it into my appearances. So we looked at display style before because it was over here in my graphics toolbar. See what else we have. Our help center. Now we talked about locating a command. Let's try whole. Click on whole. See how it highlights in yellow over here? It'll initiate the command for you. So for instance, I'm going to pick on this face right here, and I'm going to take a drag handle and select the top face, and take the drag handle and go over to the datum plane here. And then I'm going to move the hole as per this face by picking in the middle here. And of course the diameter for the hole. The drag handle here, drag it all the way through the model, put your cursor over the top and select through all, and that hole will go through the whole, the complete part. Check. And let's undo that. Way up in the upper left-hand corner of the quick access, and undo it. Now, how about the that's locating a command. How about the Creo parametric help? Now, it depends on whether this is set up correctly on your system. And we'll see how mine is. We just loaded the newest release of Creo, which has been a little bit disconcerting because they actually changed the color of some items, and they actually changed the name of some options you get with your right mouse button. So you pick on the book. Usually it'll be the book or the Creo parametric here. You want to go into something. Let's go into part modeling. You can expand this out. How about the sketcher? Sketcher overview. I can make this bigger. Working with sections. And you can search for a command. How about whole? Convert a whole, like how about holes? Create a hole. I wouldn't say that the online help is in depth in many ways. There are some samples and examples that they give you, but not a lot. So let's close that one and move on down and see what else we've got. So we talked about the command locator. It's nice to have, especially when you go from versions to versions. Those of you who are new to PTC products, It helps to find things. But those who know Pro Engineer are going to be a little bit disconcerted because almost everything has moved. Hardly anything is in the same spot as what it used to be. So we talked about zooming in and views, etc., and using the mouse button to manipulate it. We talked about system colors, information tools. We were in the tools here and we were using information tools, but directly from the model. Click on a feature, right mouse button, and select what you wish. You can also do it over here in the model tree. Info, feature. So directly from the model, when you put your cursor, first of all, a lot of times something will be selected. If something is selected and you click right mouse button, you'll get a list of commands. All right? Free it up by just clicking anywhere in the graphics area. If I put my cursor over the top here, it's going to ask basically, or it's going to tell me what that is. That's the protrusion. If I click on it, it selects the protrusion. But if I move my cursor a little bit, it'll then highlight the surface. Maybe I just want to have the surface to deal with, not the whole feature. If I put my cursor over the top of a whole bunch of stuff and I click my right mouse button, it'll filter through asking me which one of these I want to select. If I hold it down, I can pick from a list. So the selection thing is what you're going to have to get used to. All CAD systems have some differences. So we did the information, we did the whole, not the chamfer. Model tree we talked about. Now, let's take a look at the model itself. Let's say we want to change something. Let's just double click on the model and see where our drag handles are, or corner handles. So we have our handle here that make it bigger. And we could also grab some other items. Let's see if I can get it to grab. This is an old model, so I'm a little bit double click, trying to see whether or not it's going to allow me to do as much. If I can't get anything to drag, on other models we will be able to. But here, if we want something bigger, all we have to do is, oh, I see, these are being driven by different constraints and parameters. So I double clicked on it and then I had to say confirm. So I'll type in 2 and it'll expand out. So that's good to know. Let's try the height here. It says confirm because it's trying to dislodge some control from a parameter or a relation. So this one is, let's go to 1. And let's see what happens if we can pick up anything. And we still can't pick up the ends. Thought we might be able to. So we can change the basic size of things using this method. But if we want to go deeper than that, click over here in the graphics area, select the feature, right mouse button, edit definition. I would say that 75% of all the commands that you use are going to be edit definition. That's going to be the primary one, whether you're in the model or you're in an assembly. You want to do something, click on it, right mouse button, edit definition. It'll take you back into the command that was used to create it. Right mouse button, edit the internal sketch. And we're in the sketch here. And click on sketch view up there in the ribbon. We're on the sketch tab. And here we can change dimensions. That's true. So for instance, I can change some stuff by dragging it. But normally you'll go back in here if you want to do something with the geometry itself. You want to make the geometry different or add some sort of geometry to it. For our purposes, let's right mouse button and let's click, how about circle? And let's put a circle, on the very bottom here, like so. Middle mouse button. Now it's not shading because it's over the top. Middle mouse button, left mouse button. basically you have these sections over the top of each other. We've got to remove this. It can only have a continuous line or arcs around the object. So we want to get rid of something in here. And if we go up to the top here and click on delete segment, you can put your cursor and just pick on that, or you can actually draw through it and then middle mouse button. And you'll see that by removing those lines, we now have the shape that we want. Now when we come out of here, let's middle mouse button, rotate, or you can rotate the standard orientation. When we come out here, we may have destroyed something on the model because we made some pretty big changes on it. Let's check, and then check again, or middle mouse button. Well, it actually worked. So we added, not really added a feature, we added some geometry to the original sketch of the part. That's the reason for going in. You want to go into that first piece and actually do some work there. These are, you can look and see what can be changed. How about making it a thin piece, like so? Check. And now it says some features fail to regenerate. Well, that's obvious. We destroyed the chamfer and the hole and everything. You can see it over here. So I'm going to undo that one and go back. Control D, standard orientation. So that's working directly on the model. Now, we did have some flexible modeling and we have some customization. I'm going to put these in different lectures because they're kind of separate as far as the category of information I want to present. But also with flexible modeling, not everybody has that application available to them. So we're going to skip that. So you can save your part at any stage you wish. So File, Save As, Save a Copy. And you can go also down here and you can change it into a 3D PDF if you want to save a 3D PDF. You got step files, you got all kinds of stuff that you can save this. PDF here, 3D. And I click OK. If you're doing a documentation package for your class, this is a good way of creating 3D images inside your PDF. And here's my PDF. This is really just a real PDF. You double click on the model. It'll open up your menus. Want to see your tree over here. Want to spin it. Middle mouse button to rotate. It's a little different than regular Pro E. Left, or Creo, left mouse button to rotate it. How about section? Show a cross section. And you can change the cross section. However you want it. Save it. So this is right in the PDF. You can do this. There's a variety of other things that you can add notes. You can do a lot of things here. You can change how the part looks. Some of them are better than others, obviously. Let's see. You got perspective. You got your lights. You can add lights. How about a blue light? How about cube lights? I'm not sure what that is. And you can change color, the background. And this is a PDF, so you could file, save. Later you can add it to a regular PDF by just inserting it in pages where you want. I'm not going to save it. Click OK. So the last thing is you're going to want to file, and you're going to want to save as, save a copy, or just save. That'll save the model. Wherever you save the position of it on the screen, that's where it's going to come up again when you reopen it. So if I save this, click, I got to change the name. Oh, it's not allowing me to again because this is the one from the library. So follow the steps on your in the book. It'll show you how to change that so that it'll allow you to do it. How about save a backup? Is this going to allow me to do it? Yes, it will. No, it's still not allowing me. It's kind of interesting. I think I have my file system set up incorrectly to be able to take care of this one, because it did come out of the Pro library. So once it's saved and you're going to close the window, you can always go back and open it up. So open, it'll be in your directory, but it's also still in session, and all these parts of mine are in session. If I want to go back, I can open up another part. But what if I want to clean everything out of session? So you got prepare, you got manage file, delete old versions, erase not displayed. So nothing's on the screen, but there's things in session, and these items are in session. So I'm going to erase all of those. And if I went to open now and clicked on in session, nothing would be there. Working directory. Let me bring up another version of it. This is actually the version I used when I wrote the chapter. All right, this concludes lesson number 2.